Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Week 10 edition of the Commissioner's Corner of the Michigan Ultimate Survivor League's podcast. I, of course, am James L. Seagraves. Got to adjust some things here. I'm your commissioner coming to you. It's Week 10. That means we have 1 week left, ladies and gentlemen, in the exciting Michigan Ultimate Survivor League. So, here we go. Today, we're not going to mess around with the top 10 because really, at this point, the top 10 doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is who's going to make the playoffs. We had some extremely great games this weekend. We had some huge performances. We had some real choke jobs. As normally I say, we'll find out as we get it going, but that's when we do it with Richard, and we have to cut it up in another video editing software. But right now, we're going live, courtesy of the old XSplit broadcast software, and we don't have to do that. So, real quick, though, this podcast is not really brought to you by, but I feel like sharing it. Square Deals on Wheels, ladies and gentlemen. It's the greatest Facebook group of all time. You can check all kinds of great deals. They come up to Jackson once a week. Oh, look at this. What do you need? What do you need? What do you need? Oh, you need some snackies? Look at these snackies. You need some snackies? Disposable snackies, $5 each, 3 for 12 packs of 10, that is. Go to facebook.com/group/Square Deals on Wheels. Find all the good deals that Square has to offer. All right, here we go. Let's get off of Square Deals on Wheels. Let's get right to it, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, last week we had 2 divisions already wrapped up, that being Wally, who decided not to go for history and try to go undefeated. He instead went the safe and smart route and played. I didn't even see who he played, actually. I should probably look at that. So he lost. Let's see who he used last week. Let's just go to live scoring and take a look. I don't know if you ever do any of this or not, but you can. Oh, he scored 77.27 points. Wally played Joe Flacco. Wally's on street drugs. Maybe he was trying to go for history and just decided ultimately it wasn't that important. I mean, I don't know. There's just a few weeks left, Wally. I mean, you tell me you're never going to play friggin' Justin Tucker? Are you kidding me? What are you doing wasting him? Justin Tucker's incredible. Terrible decision to play those players. I would have played just complete bums. But then again, I'm not undefeated, so it doesn't really matter what I say. But could it cost him? Could playing Justin Tucker in a meaningless game cost Wally? We'll find out. So, password is Taco is the other one. He actually won this week. He's 9-1. Now he is tied with Wally for the best record in the nation. Of course, Wally's still ranked number 1. But again, rankings don't mean anything at this point. I mean, they mean something, I guess, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really mean anything. So, password is Taco and Wally had already won their division, so let's see what's going on in other neck of the woods, shall we? We shall, James. All right, let's go over here, too. Whoa. That's not the right term. The Ron Burgundy Conference, Tenacious D, has clinched that division. And why is that? Well, let's take a look, shall we? Well, they're 8-2, and the next 3 best teams are 6-4, and there's only 1 game left. So that's pretty damn simple. Thank you, Ron Burgundy Division, for making my job easier. Now, one thing that is worth noting here is that there is a significant chance, I'm not going to say a guaranteed thing, but a significant chance that Tenacious D is the only team from this conference that actually makes the playoffs based on record. If you look at it, there's a bunch of 6-4 teams on the next best. There's a lot of 8-2s and a lot of 7-3s just floating around not winning their division. So these 6-4 teams, you got to win if you have a chance to make it into the playoffs based on record. 7-4 might not be good enough to do it, but we will find out. That's why they play the game. That's what they say. Anyway, so on to the next conference, shall we? All right, the Frank Drebin Conference. This is where it gets a little bit trickier, okay? So you have 3 teams, the Tallywhackers, Irish Shamrocks, and the Oviedo Honey Badgers, vying for this conference lead. Now, according to my calculations, which of course have been wrong in the past, I don't believe Oviedo actually can win, because they play the Tallywhackers this week, and if they... No, sorry, they play... Oh, yeah. Here's why. Because the Tallywhackers and Irish Shamrocks play each other this week. So, obviously, if the Tallywhackers win, they win because they'll be 9-2, and even if Oviedo wins, they'll be 8-3, so they would have a better record. Now, the critical question is if the Irish Shamrocks win, they would be 8-3, Tallywhackers would be 8-3. Now, of course, if Oviedo loses, then they would be 7-4, and thus Irish Shamrocks, because they just beat the Tallywhackers, would have the tiebreaker. Now, where it gets interesting is that if the Irish Shamrocks win, they beat the Tallywhackers, and Oviedo beats FarmersOnly.com. This is like who they play this week, except for this one because I didn't delete that one. Farmers Only, if they win, they'll be 8-3. If Irish Shamrocks win, they'll be 8-3. Thus, the Tallywhackers lose, they'd be 8-3. Now, you'd think that Oviedo has a chance, but they really don't, okay? Because the Irish Shamrocks, if they win, they've already beaten Oviedo. They would thus be 2-0 against the other two teams, and then he would have the best record out of the three, because you go with basically record against the other two teams, and they'd be 2-0, whereas both the other teams have lost. Oviedo lost to the Irish, and Tallywhackers lost to Oviedo. So if Irish Shamrocks win, they're in. So they win the conference. This game is literally for the conference. It's not the only game that's for the conference, however. So there will be a couple more. So be looking for that. And that's a very important game. Now in the Clark-Griswold Conference, we already know that the Password is Taco has won. Nobody cares about anything else in that conference right now. Let's go look and see just to make sure that nobody cares. Yep, same situation that we have up here in this other conference where there's a bunch of 6-4 teams. Password is Taco just beat the shit out of everyone in this division. 7-win streak. Way to go. 7-game win streak, I should have said. But that's where we stand there. Congratulations, Password Taco. You've won, and you won again last week even though you didn't have to. Now, you want to talk about a real cluster. Let's look at the next conference, shall we? Oh, yes, we shall. The Derek Zoolander Conference. As you can see, nothing is really even highlighted here because so much shit can happen. I got a headache thinking about it, to be perfectly blunt with you. So, let's take a look and see. Now, we have 4 teams that are all 7-3, and they have all played each other already, so there's no upcoming games. Gamers, they are in a position to do some serious damage for the second week in a row, but oh, man. There's too many scenarios to play out. Basically, try to win your games is the best thing I would say. If all 4 of these teams win this week, which is possible, then the Jerry Springer election and the Black Hole would be in the best position. However, the Black Hole beat Jerry Springer. The Black Hole lost to Jerry Springer, which is why, in case you're wondering, why they have him, look right here, Jerry Springer on top over the Black Hole. It's because Jerry Springer actually beat the Black Hole. But that doesn't really matter because this is where it gets really complicated. So, out of these 4 teams, Gregory Clegane and Bill Pulling Dynamite are 1-2 against the other 2 teams. And then the other guys, Jerry Springer election and the Black Hole, are both 2-1. So, the head-to-head really doesn't matter in that situation versus who beat the Black Hole versus who beat Jerry Springer election because there's 3 other teams involved. So at that point, this is where it gets really messy, okay? So even though the Black Hole... Oh, sorry. The Black Hole lost the Jerry Springer election anyway. Never mind. But that's not really what's important here, okay? Because the Jerry Springer is 2-1. The Black Hole is 2-1 against these other 3 teams. But why Jerry Springer is above him is not because he beat him directly. It's because he scored more points. So, a lot of scenarios I could play out here. What you don't want to have happen is getting the tiebreaker with Gregory Clegane with their points because he's got 830 points. Now, the rest of the league, however, should be pulling for Gregory Clegane to win and the other teams to lose because Gregory Clegane has scored way more points than everyone else. Thus, he would take... You want to drop him out of the points standings for the playoff spots for points. You want him to win based on record or based on his conference, obviously. So a lot of things can still happen there. Going down to the next division, this is similarly complicated, but not quite. A team has no name, Providence Power, no E. I don't know why that's not there. You can't spell rape without Sharper and Giggle Giggle. All 4 of these teams, I think, are still technically alive. Let's go with how easy it is for these guys to get in here. A team has no name. If they win, they're in, period. So if they win, doesn't matter what happens anywhere else, they're in, no problem. Even if Providence wins, they'd both be 8-3. They beat Providence 2 weeks ago. Thank you very much. That's my team. Eat a bag of dicks. Providence Power, on the other hand, myself, if they win, they need to win and have a team with no name lose. If that happens, then they win the conference. Now, if both of these teams lose, that's when there's a lot of things that can happen. If both these teams, if Providence loses, they have no chance of winning the conference, period, because they've lost to literally everybody with the exception of potentially Giggle Giggle, who they played this week. If Giggle Giggle wins, they will have beaten Providence, and they would have beaten, that's it. That would have, only teams that would have won. So I don't think Giggle Giggle technically cannot even make it that far, but they can do some damage. Now, where it gets interesting is you can't spell rape without Sharper. They'd be 7-4. They'd be 7-4. I don't know. Frickin' A, man. There's too much shit to go over with these situations. Easiest thing to do is Providence or a team that has no name wins. Providence Power wins, and a team who has no name loses, then they win. If it goes down to a bunch of 7-4 stuff, we're going to have to break down the tiebreakers in the next podcast because it's going to be crazy, you know what I'm saying? So let's not do that just yet because my head hurts already. Going down to the Jeff Lebowski Conference, Wally was 9-0. Now they're 9-1. Didn't update that. Oh, my God, did 9-0 again. I don't know what's happening. They're 9-1. They've won their conference. Anyone else exciting in that conference? Let's take a look, shall we? We're going to look here. Old Papa's Players is 7-3. They have a decent shot, but they've lost 2 games in a row, so I don't know what's happening there. Lost 2 games in a row. They could be in jeopardy of losing the playoff spot entirely, depending on what happens. They lose another game, it's really bad. They win, they're pretty much in the playoffs, but not getting a bye. The next conference, Ashley Manning's HGH Supplier and NabTab Knights are the only 2 who have a chance in this conference. Why, you ask? Because one's 8-2, one's 7-3. The 6-4 teams have no chance. Here's where it gets interesting, though. Ashley Manning's HGH Supplier and NabTab Knights. What's that? Oh, my God, they play each other this weekend. Oh, my God. So the winner of this game wins the conference and wins the as yet to be undetermined prize for winning your conference. So, yes, that game, very important. They need to win the game to win the money. So, and then, yeah, because they'd both be 8. If Ashley Manning's HGH Supplier wins, obviously they're 9-2, and they have the tiebreaker anyway because it wouldn't matter. NabTab Knights wins, they'd both be 8-3, and NabTab Knights would have just beaten Ashley Manning's HGH Supplier, which is important because it's the tiebreaker, and thus they would win the conference. So the Brody Bruce Conference still up for grabs. One last game, so we have 2, count them, 2 conferences up to just 1 game here. Seriously. Tallywhackers versus Irish Shamrocks, and, of course, the Ashley Manning's HGH Supplier versus the NabTab Knights. Both of those games will determine conference winners. That's the final week of the regular season, and the drama has never been higher. New Orleans Rock Chucks going down to the next conference. You didn't even know it, but yes, last week, because New Orleans Rock Chucks beat Runs Like a Girlie, and I think I may have said this in the last podcast, but I don't really remember. Maybe I didn't do the math. I couldn't have done the math because there's other games to be done. But because New Orleans Rock Chucks won, it doesn't matter what happens this week. They've already won their conference. Let me double check that. Yep, they're 8-2. So even if they lose and NabTab Knights wins, they'd both be 8-3. But of course, Ashley Manning, what the hell? Right here, this is what I'm supposed to be looking at. It's same numbers. If they lose and Runs Like a Girlie wins, they'd both be 8-3. But New Orleans Rock Chucks just beat Runs Like a Girlie. So yeah. So, but Runs Like a Girlie still wants to try to win because they want to get on the 8-3 record versus a potential cluster of teams at 7-4. So, definitely try to win your games. That's the bottom line. Just try to win your games every week. But we want to know what's important and who can win what. So, on that note, however, I'm all right. Let's take a look at this. This is weird, okay? You can notice a few of these things are crossed off. You can't really tell what in the hell's going on here. But what you want to pay attention to is this column here, okay? Because this is how many points back you are from the highest score in the league. So Gregory Clegane obviously has scored the most points. He's scored 830.56 points. Why is this important? Because as I mentioned multiple podcasts in a row, there are several spots in the league that get to the playoffs based on the number of points you have. Now, of course, a lot of these people, such as the Tallywhackers, I mean, we can probably cross them off and make them blue because they will almost certainly make it in. Probably Gregory Clegane will make it in the conference based on the other record, too, so that's good. But these are the ones you got to really look for. Old Papa's Players. I mean, I'm going to say all these teams will probably make the playoffs so we can cross them off. But it really comes down to, teams like Nasty Nutria, Mike Crabtree, which is the Broskis, Red Wings, they could be in trouble with a 6-4 record. There's definitely no guarantee they're going to make it. Brady O'Bush, they have a chance. They're 5-5. So basically, anyone who's underneath 100 here, I think I'm not going to say 100. Well, okay, let's say 100. anyone who's underneath 100 technically has a chance of making it into the playoffs based on points, but if you're under like 50 or 60, let's start with 61 here. These guys, Nasty Nutria, Broskis, and Mike Crabtree definitely have the best chance. So the point is, if you are not going to make the playoffs based on record, I'm telling you this, folks. Look into my eyes. I'm actually looking up here instead of over here for once. If you're not making the playoffs based on your record, submit the best goddamn lineup you can possibly think of. Because if you score a shit ton of points, you could be 4-6 or 4-7 would be at the end of the year, and still make the playoffs. So this is it. This is the week of super lineups. Throw what you can. Throw with everything in the books because you have nothing left after this week if you do not make the playoffs. This is the final week. So start Matt Ryan. Start Ezekiel Elliott. I drafted him in the real league. He's about the only good player I have left, but still. Start, Gronkowski. Start the super lineup from Doom. That's what you got to do because if you don't win, if you don't get in on points, your season's over. Then what are you going to do? What are you going to do with the MUSL's over? Watch the Lions. They aren't first in their division, though, by the way. Watch the Packers. Oh, man, that was cold. What's going on with that team? They got beat up by Marcus Mariota last week. Oh, man, it was bad. Anyway, all right. So that's it. Super simple podcast this week, although my head hurts. Have a good one. We're out.